In these 180-plus pages, police describe a plot to kill Sade Robinson. Family members say this makes them see the case in a new way.
This fuels my rage, knowing somebody else could have stopped this, and they didn't.
The notification lit up her phone screen. A new match. Another conversation. Another date planned. For 19-year-old Sade Robinson, this was supposed to be just another first date. A casual meeting at a local restaurant with a man she'd connected with online. She had no way of knowing that April 1st, 2024, would be her last day alive. No way of knowing that the charming messages exchanged through a dating app would lead to her dismembered body, washing up on Lake Michigan's shoreline days later. Behind the carefully curated profiles and filtered photos of dating apps lurks a terrifying reality that most users prefer not to acknowledge. While millions find genuine connections online every day, predators like Maxwell Anderson, the 33-year-old man who would become Sade's killer, use these platforms as hunting grounds, hiding violent intentions behind friendly smiles and casual conversation. Sade's story isn't just tragic. It's a chilling reminder of vulnerability in the digital age. Before we continue with Sade's heartbreaking story, take a moment to consider. Have you or someone you know ever met up with a stranger from a dating app? What safety precautions did you take? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you value these potentially life-saving discussions, please subscribe to our channel. Sade Carlina Robinson vanished on April 1st, 2024, after meeting Maxwell Anderson for a first date at Milwaukee's Twisted Fisherman restaurant. The vibrant college student, just weeks away from completing her criminal justice degree, never returned home. 2 days later, a severed leg was discovered at Warnemont Park, triggering an investigation that would reveal one of Wisconsin's most horrific crimes in recent memory. As authorities pieced together the case, more remains were found scattered along Lake Michigan's shoreline, a deliberate attempt to conceal a brutal murder. Anderson, arrested on April 4th, was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson after burning Sade's car. Investigators later discovered blood evidence in his home and a disturbing sex dungeon in his basement. The case shocked the Milwaukee community and ignited conversations nationwide about dating app safety, particularly for young women of color who faced disproportionate risks of violence. Before Sade Robinson became a headline, before her name became synonymous with dating app dangers, she was a young woman with dreams that stretched far beyond the confines of Milwaukee. Born in Vicksburg, Mississippi on May 10, 2004, Sade's life was characterized by determination and ambition that impressed everyone who knew her. She wasn't just another statistic. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a student with promising prospects. Her story deserves to be told not just through the lens of her tragic end, but through the vibrant life she lived for nearly 20 years. To understand the full impact of what was lost that April evening, we must first understand who Sade was, her journey from Mississippi to Wisconsin, her academic achievements, her close family bonds, and the bright future that awaited her. Only then can we truly comprehend the magnitude of this senseless crime and the void it left in countless lives. Sade Carlina Robinson's story began in Vicksburg, Mississippi, where she was born on May 10, 2004. Before her second birthday, Sade and her mother, Sheena Scarborough, relocated to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, establishing the city as her primary home. Though her parents never married, they maintained a cooperative co-parenting relationship that gave Sade stability despite the distance between them. Her father, Carlos Robinson, remained in Florida, creating a childhood for Sade that spanned two distinct worlds. She divided her time between Milwaukee's urban landscape and Florida's coastal environment, developing an adaptability that would become one of her defining characteristics. This dual upbringing exposed her to diverse perspectives and experiences, contributing to her mature outlook on life from an early age. Family was central to Sade's identity. She maintained close relationships with both her immediate and extended family, particularly her grandmother Linda, whom she often cooked for in her small apartment. As an older sister, Sade took her responsibilities seriously, helping her younger sister Adriana secure employment and providing transportation to work. The family used the Life 360 tracking app to stay connected, a testament to their close-knit bonds and protective nature toward one another. Growing up between two households could have created instability for some children, but for Saad, it fostered independence and resilience. She navigated the complexities of her family structure with grace, drawing strength from both parents while developing her own distinct identity and ambitions that would guide her short but impactful life. Saada's academic journey reflected her determined spirit and forward-thinking mindset. After moving back from Florida, she graduated high school a semester early, demonstrating her academic drive and efficiency. This achievement was just the beginning of her educational pursuits, as she promptly enrolled at Milwaukee Area Technical College to study criminal justice. At the time of her disappearance, Saad was merely weeks away from completing her associate degree. Her mother revealed that military service was on the horizon, with Saad considering joining the United States Air Force after graduation. This career path wasn't random. It connected to her family legacy, as her grandfather had served in the Navy and her uncle in the Army. The criminal justice field suited Saada's analytical mind and strong sense of right and wrong. She approached her studies with the same dedication she applied to every aspect of her life, viewing education not just as a requirement, but as a stepping stone to a meaningful career of service. Saada's exceptional work ethic emerged early, surprising even her mother when she independently secured a job interview and simply asked for a ride to it. This self-motivation led to her position as a cashier at Pizza Shuttle on Milwaukee's East Side, where she quickly became a favorite among both colleagues and customers. Her manager would later note that she had never missed a shift before her disappearance, a testament to her reliability. Not content with just one job, Saad also worked at the Wisconsin Club, demonstrating her commitment to financial independence. She managed her money wisely, funding her own travels to Jamaica, Atlanta, and New Orleans without financial assistance. These weren't just vacations, but explorations that reflected her adventurous spirit and desire to experience the world beyond her hometown. In the days before April 1st, 2024, Saad Robinson's life proceeded with its usual rhythm of work, school, and social connections. Friends and family reported nothing unusual about her behavior. No signs of distress or indication that anything extraordinary was about to occur. She had been messaging with Maxwell Anderson, a 33-year-old man she had connected with through a dating app, arranging to meet him for the first time. For Saad, this was likely just another social opportunity, perhaps even an exciting prospect of meeting someone new. She had traveled independently before and managed her own affairs with confidence. The decision to meet Anderson at the Twisted Fisherman, a restaurant where he had previously worked, might have seemed like a safe choice, a public location with staff who knew him. What remains unclear is how long they had been communicating before agreeing to meet in person, or what Anderson had shared about himself that made Saad comfortable enough to accept the invitation. Like many young adults navigating the modern dating landscape, she likely performed some basic vetting, but couldn't have known the danger that awaited her. April 1st began as an ordinary Monday. At 4:15 in the afternoon, Saad exchanged final text messages with Anderson, confirming their meeting at the Twisted Fisherman restaurant in Milwaukee. Security footage and witness accounts would later help investigators reconstruct the evening's tragic progression. By 5:20 that evening, Saad arrived at the restaurant where Anderson was already waiting. The pair sat at the bar, ordering food and drinks like any other couple on a first date. Nothing in their public interaction raised alarms to staff or other patrons. No arguments, no visible discomfort, nothing that would have prompted intervention. They appeared to be two people getting acquainted over casual conversation. At 6:30, approximately an hour after arriving, Saad and Anderson left the restaurant together. They departed in Saada's car, with Anderson apparently convincing her to let him drive. While in the vehicle, Saad sent a Snapchat message to a friend, her last known communication. The content of this message revealed nothing about her feelings regarding the date or any sense of danger. The final confirmed sighting of Saad alive came at 9:06 that evening, when security cameras captured her and Anderson leaving a bar they had visited after the restaurant. What transpired in the hours that followed remains largely unknown, pieced together only through forensic evidence and Anderson's movements afterward. Investigators believe that sometime that night, Anderson took Saad to his home on the north side of Milwaukee, a decision that would prove fatal. for reasons still not fully understood.
Search warrants say almost a month before Sade's death, her accused killer, Maxwell Anderson, told a confidential informant he planned to kill her. The informant says on March 5th, Anderson took them to his basement. The informant described seeing 3 saws, a sanitation sink, and a room covered from the floor to the ceiling in plastic painter tarp. The informant says Anderson told them he recently met Sade and planned to shoot her in the basement, dismember her body, and dispose it throughout Milwaukee.
Why would this guy feel so comfortable to tell you his plans in the first place?
Surveillance images from April 1st show Sade and Anderson on a date together at Twisted Fisherman. Investigators say the two went back to Anderson's home that night. The next day, Sade's car was torched. Her severed leg was later found at Warnemar Park.
You have to be a very demonic individual to do something like this.
Anderson has pleaded not guilty to homicide, mutilation, and arson charges. Documents show police spoke to the informant 2 weeks after Sade's death.
After the fact doesn't do me any justice because it doesn't bring my daughter back.
Records also claim another woman went on a date with Anderson in February. She says Anderson asked her back to his home. She believed he drugged her drink. Sade's father says his daughter's death still doesn't feel real.
I called a pizza shuttle just to hear her voice because they got on the answering machine. I talked to her every morning.
What began as a typical first date escalated to violence, ending Sada's promising life and beginning a horrific attempt to conceal the crime. I need to pause here and ask, how many precautions do you take before meeting someone new? Would your friends or family know where to look if you disappeared after a date? If this story is resonating with you, please hit that like button and share your safety protocols in the comments below. The Snapchat message Saad sent from her car at approximately 6:30 p.m. represents her final digital footprint. A modern farewell no one recognized at the time. After leaving the bar at 9:06 p.m., Sada's movements can only be traced through indirect evidence. Her phone's location data placed her in the vicinity of Anderson's residence later that evening, though the exact time remains unclear. When Saad failed to return home that night, the Life 360 app her family relied on showed her location as Anderson's address before her phone went offline completely. By the following morning, when she didn't arrive for a shift at Pizza Shuttle, something her manager noted had never happened before. Colleagues immediately sensed something was wrong and contacted authorities. What happened in those final hours remains known only to her killer. The transition from public spaces to private location marked a critical moment when Saad lost the protection that visibility provides, a vulnerability exploited by a predator who had likely planned his actions well before their meeting. On April 2nd, 2024, the first alarm bells rang when Saad failed to appear for her shift at Pizza Shuttle. Her manager, Justin Romano, immediately recognized this as out of character for the reliable employee who had never missed work without notice. A concerned co-worker contacted authorities, requesting a wellness check at Sada's apartment. When officers found no trace of her there, they officially classified her as a missing person. Sheena Scarborough, Sada's mother, began frantically calling hospitals and jails, hoping for any information about her daughter. The family's anxiety intensified when they checked the Life 360 app and discovered Sada's last known location was in an unfamiliar neighborhood before her signal disappeared completely. The investigation took a disturbing turn on April 2nd when Milwaukee residents on North 29th Street called 911 to report a car engulfed in flames in the alley behind their homes. Firefighters quickly extinguished the blaze, but the vehicle was severely damaged. When investigators ran the registration, they discovered it belonged to Saad Robinson. For Sada's family, the discovery of her burned vehicle transformed their concern into terror. The deliberate destruction of her car suggested something far more sinister than this simple missing person case. As Sheena Scarborough later told reporters, "When we heard about the car, we knew something terrible had happened to our baby." What followed was a series of grisly discoveries that shocked even veteran investigators. On April 3rd at 5:29 p.m., Milwaukee County 911 dispatch received a call about a severed leg found near the golf course at Warnemar Park in Cudahy, approximately 10 miles south of downtown Milwaukee. The discovery triggered an immediate response from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, who secured the area and began processing what was now a homicide scene. In the days that followed, additional human remains appeared across multiple locations. On April 5th, investigators found human body parts near 31st Street and Walnut Street, just a block away from where Sada's car had been burned. The following day, Sada's family, conducting their own desperate search of the area, discovered a blanket bearing her photo in a wooded area nearby, a heartbreaking confirmation of their worst fears. The scattered nature of the discoveries pointed to a calculated effort to prevent identification and conceal the crime. On April 18th, the case took another tragic turn when a passerby discovered a torso and arm along a Lake Michigan beach. Forensic testing would later confirm these remains belonged to Saad. The final discovery came in mid-May when another human arm, suspected to be Sada's, washed ashore at Waukegan Municipal Beach in Illinois, demonstrating the killer's extensive efforts to dispose of evidence across state lines. Each discovery intensified public horror and media attention, transforming what began as a local missing person case into national headlines. For investigators, the dispersed remains created a complex puzzle, requiring coordination between multiple jurisdictions and careful forensic work to build their case. On April 4th, just 3 days after Sada's disappearance, police conducted a traffic stop that led to Maxwell Anderson's arrest. Initially identified only as a person of interest, Anderson quickly became the prime suspect as evidence mounted against him. Cell phone records placed him with Saad on the night of April 1st, and tower data tracked his movements to various disposal sites in the following days. During his first court appearance on April 12th, Anderson's defense attorney attempted to downplay the evidence, arguing that authorities had detained his client on nothing more than a written submission to the court indicating that because he supposedly had contact with a missing person and there's some cell tower suspicion. The court disagreed, ordering Anderson held on $5 million bail. The swift arrest provided small comfort to Sada's family, who attended the hearing accompanied by victim advocates. Sheena Scarborough later described watching Anderson in court as the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with in my entire life. Seeing the man accused of taking her daughter's life, showing no visible remorse. The search of Anderson's residence yielded damning evidence that strengthened the prosecution's case. Investigators discovered blood on the walls of his home, despite apparent attempts to clean the crime scene. Forensic testing would later confirm this blood belonged to Saad Robinson. Most disturbing was the discovery of what investigators described as a sex dungeon in Anderson's basement, a room that suggested premeditation and potentially ritualistic aspects to his violence. Additional evidence included a comforter stained with Sada's blood and tools believed to have been used in the dismemberment. Investigators also recovered digital evidence from Anderson's devices, including search history that revealed research on methods to dispose of human remains and avoid detection. Anderson's criminal history came to light during the investigation, revealing a pattern of concerning behavior, including domestic abuse, drunk driving, and disorderly conduct charges. This history, combined with the physical evidence from his home, painted a picture not of a crime of passion, but of a calculated act by a predator who had likely been escalating his violent tendencies for years. On April 12, 2024, the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office formally charged Maxwell Anderson with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson. The criminal complaint detailed how Anderson had met Saad for a first date at his former workplace before allegedly killing her and dismembering her body in a calculated attempt to conceal the crime. If convicted, Anderson faced a mandatory life sentence for the homicide charge alone. The charging documents revealed the methodical nature of the crime, describing how Anderson had allegedly dismembered Sada's body and distributed the remains across multiple locations spanning 2 states. Prosecutors emphasized the exceptional brutality of the crime, noting that the dismemberment occurred while Saad was already deceased, demonstrating a disturbing level of depravity and disregard for human dignity. The arson charge stemmed from the burning of Sada's vehicle, which prosecutors characterized as a deliberate attempt to destroy evidence linking Anderson to her disappearance.
Court documents say Anderson and Robinson were meeting up for that first date on Monday, April 1st. They started at a Menominee Valley bar, the Twisted Fisherman, before heading over to Duke's on Water, which is in downtown Milwaukee. That phone is then traced to right here, Anderson's home at 39th in Oklahoma, and we know Robinson was never seen again. This new exclusive video appears to capture the moment investigators took Maxwell Anderson into custody near his home at 39th in Oklahoma, following a whirlwind investigation that started April 2nd.
Milwaukee County 911 dispatch received a call from Cudahy Police Department regarding a severed leg at Warnemont Park. Subsequently, a Milwaukee police officer who was aware of our investigation raised the possibility that the leg may be related to a missing person investigation that they were conducting.
That missing person, Sade Robinson. A criminal complaint released Friday says investigators used her cell phone records to follow her movements the night before on April 1st for what was supposed to be a first date with Anderson. After dinner and drinks, Robinson's phone was tracked to Anderson's home for 3 hours. An hour later, her phone pinged at Kern Park. And then following a drive across the city, its last trace to Warnemont Park, the same spot investigators found that severed leg. April 2nd, the Milwaukee police found Robinson's car torched near 31st and Lisbon, her clothes and phone in the trunk. 12 News has since learned footage from a city bus near that time and place captured Anderson. In the following days, police and Robinson's family searched that Walnut Hill neighborhood and found a foot and human flesh.
MPD returned to the area when Miss Robinson's family located her blanket. At this time, detectives located additional human remains.
DNA results on the foot are pending, but DNA results confirm the severed leg is Robinson's. Do you know how she died?
Can't comment on that.
Investigators also not detailing where the homicide occurred, a possible motive, a weapon, or what they found when they searched his home, other than blood in a bedroom and blood on the walls leading to the basement. Law enforcement sources told 12 News investigators did find what was described as a sex dungeon. What did you find inside that home, specifically in the basement?
Cannot release that at this time.
Each charge represented a separate aspect of what investigators described as a comprehensive effort to evade justice. As the case progressed, Anderson's troubling past came to light. Court records revealed a history of concerning behavior that painted the picture of an escalating threat. His record included previous charges of domestic abuse, suggesting a pattern of violence toward women that had never been adequately addressed by the justice system. Multiple drunk driving offenses and disorderly conduct charges further illustrated a pattern of reckless behavior and disregard for laws and social norms. While none of his previous offenses approached the severity of the charges he now faced, criminologists noted that his history followed a classic escalation pattern often seen in violent offenders. Most disturbing was how Anderson had managed to maintain a seemingly normal public persona despite these red flags, working at restaurants, maintaining social media accounts, and using dating apps without raising widespread alarm. Anderson's initial court appearance on April 12th was brief but consequential. Appearing via video from a Milwaukee County jail, he remained largely expressionless as the charges were read. His defense attorney, Anthony Cotton, argued against the state's evidence, characterizing it as circumstantial and insufficient to justify continued detention. The court commissioner disagreed with the defense's assessment, setting bail at an extraordinary $5 million, one of the highest bail amounts in Milwaukee County history. This decision reflected both the severity of the charges and the court's determination that Anderson posed a significant flight risk and danger to the community. Throughout early 2025, Anderson made several procedural court appearances as both prosecution and defense prepared their cases. He consistently maintained his not guilty plea despite mounting evidence. Each appearance drew media attention and brought Sada's family to the courthouse, where they sat stoically, often wearing memorial T-shirts bearing her image. The devastating loss of Saad Robinson plunged her family into unimaginable grief. Her mother, Sheena Scarborough, became the family's voice, speaking with raw emotion at press conferences and community gatherings. "My daughter was everything to me," she told reporters in April 2024. "She was just starting her life, and now I'm planning her funeral instead of her graduation." Carlos Robinson, Sada's father, traveled from Florida to Milwaukee immediately after learning of her disappearance. In a heart-wrenching statement, he described the agony of identifying his daughter through remains rather than seeing her whole one last time. No parent should ever have to experience this kind of pain, he said, his voice breaking during a community vigil. Saada's younger sister, Adriana, spoke of the protective bond they shared, recalling how Saad had helped her secure her first job and drove her to work. She always looked out for me, Adriana shared. Now I don't know how to navigate this world without her guidance. In early 2025, Milwaukee County Supervisor Juan Miguel Martinez proposed creating a memorial for Saad in Warnemont Park, Cudahy, allocating $7,000 of taxpayer money for the project. The memorial was intended to honor Saada's memory while serving as a reminder about dating safety and violence against women. What should have been a unifying community effort instead exposed persistent racial divisions when Martinez reported receiving numerous racist emails questioning why a memorial should be erected for Saad. The hateful messages specifically targeted her race, suggesting she was undeserving of public remembrance. Faced with this disturbing backlash, Saada's mother consulted with Martinez and reluctantly decided to withdraw the memorial proposal. It was intended to celebrate her legacy and preserve her memory, also to provide comfort to the family, Martinez explained. The incident sparked outrage among community leaders, with Milwaukee County Supervisor Felicia A. Martin condemning the racist messages and emphasizing that tragedy should transcend racial divisions. Despite the memorial controversy, many Milwaukee residents rallied around the Robinson family. Hundreds gathered at Kilbourne Reservoir Park for a candlelight vigil in April 2024, where strangers embraced Saada's relatives and offered both emotional and practical support. A GoFundMe campaign established to help with funeral expenses quickly exceeded its goal, with donations coming from across the country. Pizza Shuttle, where Saad had worked, held a fundraiser donating a percentage of sales to her family and established a scholarship in her name for aspiring criminal justice students at Milwaukee Area Technical College. Local advocacy groups used Saada's story to launch dating safety workshops and a buddy system app for first dates, ensuring her tragic death would potentially save others through increased awareness and practical safety measures. Saad Carlina Robinson's life cannot be defined by its tragic end. She was a young woman of remarkable determination who graduated high school early, pursued higher education with passion, and maintained multiple jobs while supporting her family. Her legacy lives on through the criminal justice scholarship established in her name at Milwaukee Area Technical College, a fitting tribute to a student who would have soon earned her own degree in that field. Those who knew her remember her warm smile, her cooking skills, her protective nature toward her sister, and her ambitious plans for military service. Though her life was cut short at 19, the impact she made on her community ensures she will not be forgotten. If Saada's story has impacted you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Explosive True Crime Stories. Your engagement helps us continue sharing these important narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, every conversation about safety potentially saves lives. Join our community today. The best tribute we can offer Saad is to learn from her tragedy. Implement safety protocols for online dating. Trust your instincts and maintain open communication with loved ones about your whereabouts. No precaution is too extreme when it comes to protecting yourself. Saada's story matters, and so does your safety.